welcome everyone to the December 2024 regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting. We're holding the meeting at the Dennett Road Educational Complex today. We will be breaking for executive session immediately, but coming back at approximately 6 p.m. for public session. Under Section 3-305B of the General Provisions article of the Maryland Annotated Code, there are two reasons the board will go into closed session this evening: to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction. Any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. To conduct collective bargaining negotiations or consider matters that relate to negotiations. Specifically, the topics for tonight will be 3-305B1, topics including personnel updates and board compensation, 3-305B9, topic including early retirement notification stipend. The reason these topics will be discussed in closed session instead of open session is as follows. Personnel topics pursuant to 3-305B1 disclosed above will be considered in closed session rather than open session because they include a discussion of specific employees, which is a confidential employment matter. The negotiations topic pursuant to 3-305B9 disclosed above will be considered in closed session rather than open session because of the confidential nature of the collective bargaining process. Hearing all of that, are there any objections to the board going into executive session? Hearing none, is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
So moved by Jason.
Second.
Seconded by Don. All those in favor of going into executive session, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And we are in executive session. Scheduled Board of Education meeting on December the 14th, 2024. I'd like to thank each of you for coming. Our first order of business is I would ask that you would stand for a moment of silence, which will be followed by our Pledge of Allegiance led by our student board member.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
So moved by Jason.
Second.
Second by Sadie. Discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And the agenda is adopted. Approval of the consent agenda. Motion, please. So moved by Don.
Second.
Second by Rodney. All those in favor of the consent agenda as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Closed session summaries, announcements, consent agenda, all those things are on our website. Certainly can be viewed at your discretion. We've done that the past year to kind of speed this meeting up, but still give access to everybody with that information. So with that being said, I will ask Mr. Van Sickle to make a recognition, the 2022-23 5-star Title I school, only one in Maryland, Crellin Elementary.
Okay. Garrett County Board of Education recognition of Crellin Elementary School, Maryland's sole Title I school to attain a 5-star state rating in the 2022-2023 school year. The proclamation. Whereas Crellin Elementary School, located in Garrett County, Maryland, has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to academic excellence, community engagement, and a holistic development of its students. And whereas Title I schools serve as a vital role in providing equitable educational opportunities to students, ensuring that every child receives the tools and resources needed to thrive, regardless of economic or social barriers. And whereas through the dedication of its exceptional educators, staff, students, parents, and community partners, Crellin Elementary School has achieved exemplary results, earning the distinction of being the only Title I school in the state of Maryland to receive a 5-star rating from the Maryland State Department of Education. And whereas the remarkable achievement reflects Crellin Elementary School's innovative practices, collaborative spirit, and commitment to fostering and nurturing inclusive and high-performing educational environment. And whereas the success of Crellin Elementary School is an inspiration to schools across the state and nation, exemplifying the profound impact that a focused and unified community can have on educational outcomes. Now let it be resolved that Garrett County Public Schools and the Garrett County Board of Education do hereby recognize and commend Crowell Elementary School for its extraordinary accomplishment and celebrate the hard work, perseverance, and dedication that led to this historic milestone. And be it further resolved that this proclamation serves as a testament to the power of education in transforming lives and building brighter futures for all students.
Accepting on behalf of the staff and students, Dr. McCulley. Sure, bring them all up. Let's get out of the way here. Now, if you just stay there, please. Don't leave. Got a couple of other things we want to do towards the recognition. If I don't mess it up. First of all, and also we would be remiss in saying that that's Mr. Van Sickle to make the presentation tonight. Tonight's the last board meeting. Jason has decided did not rerun for his position, decided to spend more time with family and work and other obligations. But it's been a great pleasure for us who have worked on the board for 4 years to have worked with Jason. He is an amazingly talented person has brought a tremendous amount of ideas to our Board of Education that otherwise I don't think we would have ever thought about. So we will miss you. You've made a great contribution. And in regard to that, I'd like to give you $5,000, but I'm not. I'm going to give you a thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Lastly, in recognition of what you have accomplished, which is an amazing thing at Crowell Elementary, I know Dr. McCartney is going to remind everybody we have 2 5-star schools, but one of them is a Title I school, the only one in the state of Maryland. Accident is also a 5-star school. We're very proud of that as well. But they have the title as the only Title I 5-star school in the state. My wife Debbie and I, through our son's foundation, the Andrew Woods Memorial Scholarship Foundation, are going to give you a blank check. We want you to throw a pizza party for every student, every staff member, every volunteer, everybody who has anything to do with Crowell Elementary, and we'll pay for it.
Aha, I have the mic. Crellin is, as all of us who have the opportunity to work with the people at this school, we all recognize that it is an incredible place of learning for our students. And it's a school that does a wonderful job of building on community assets and involving the community and the students in problem solving for their community and growing thoughtful community members for our future. So in addition to, this was for test results 2 years ago, the other good thing for Crowell Elementary is that they were able to maintain a 5-star rating. And sometimes that maintaining can be harder than getting there. So congratulations to you. I do want to note, because Accident this year was noted as being a 5-star school based on last year's test results. And they also are an incredible school. I am very lucky to be a superintendent in a county with so many schools that are high achieving. And Crellin is certainly one of our highest achieving schools. Last year, when you look at the results for last year, they weren't a Title I school last year, but they are a Title I school this year. And I fully expect also will maintain their 5-star rating as we go forward. So congratulations to both schools, and really congratulations to every school in Garrett County, because we continue to improve and we continue to do well for our students in our community. So thank you. I still have the mic. So, there are a couple other things that I'd like to note. In the back of the room, I am taking a little bit of superintendent's, yeah, Dana. Yeah, go sit down. In the back of the room is Dr. Wilderson, who has announced tonight, I'm announcing for her. She didn't announce publicly, but I am. Dr. Jane, Dr. Wilderson will be retiring at the end of this year. And we have been extremely well served by her leadership in the human resources area. So thank you, Jane.
Oh, my. Wow. I didn't know that. That's what I wanted to know. Wow. Very awesome.
Thank you. I'm also going to note that Mr. Hummel is here, and he'll be speaking later about one of our policies and procedures. Mr. Hummel will be leaving us towards the end of January to go farther afield with the Maryland State Department of Education. So, and John has, as Director of Student Services, has really done a phenomenal job for us here in the county, and I certainly have relied on his expertise the last year and a half that I've been here to guide me through some situations where I needed guidance, and he also will be greatly missed. Along with, I'm going to sit down in a minute, I promise.
Time's about up.
I know, it's about over. Jason Van Sickle as a board member. We can always rely on Jason to drive us to data. Jason has served for, at least since I've been here, on our policy review committee, and his input has been greatly appreciated on that committee. He is very good at having us look at risk management issues, as well as concentrating on what is best for our students. And he also is excellent at being a board member who communicates well with the board and communicates well with me and the staff. One last thing that he does is he visits schools and is involved in our community and knows what's happening in our schools and community. And because of his work also, our students have an enhanced financial literacy experience. So thank you, Jason, for all that you've done over the years.
Thank you, Dr. McCartney.
Thank you.
Sure, no, it's certainly celebrations that don't come to every school system. And again, thank each of you for coming tonight from Crellin. To say we're proud of you would be a vast understatement. We're more than proud. The legislative position statement for 2025's General Assembly. Dr. McCartney will make that presentation.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this topic. The board members have had a chance to look at these. There aren't a lot of changes from what I presented to the board last year regarding what we would like to see from our legislative colleagues. In general, you will notice in many of the statements that we talk about local control. Because we believe very sincerely, and I know the board does, that the more local control we have, the better our ability to meet the needs of our population and to solve our problems. So throughout this, you will see the words local control. Specific to the blueprint, we are supporting more flexibility, if it's possible, so that we can apply the funding that is available to the areas where we need the funding the most. The blueprint guides us into lots of buckets of how we need to spend our money, so any flexibility in that regard would certainly be helpful. We're also, again, as we did last year, supporting an automatic waiver for the weighted student funding formula if a school has 500 or fewer students. The Superintendent's Association, I believe, will come forward in the next couple days and be supporting that for schools at 350. Or fewer students. I think it's 350, 300. The other thing under blueprint might appear to be a little odd, and that is on the mandates for getting us timely guidance for doing what the blueprint is asking us to achieve. Many times we will get the guidance late, and that's not helpful to us because we've already been in negotiations with our different groups. We're just asking for the blueprint, the AIB staff, to get that guidance to us in advance. Not on my sheet tonight, but in my mind, is also the fact that between MSDE, COMAR regulations, and the AIB, we had last year, were required to submit approximately 179 different reports. It is eating us. It is frustrating us. We sometimes get a request for the report 3 days, 4 days in advance. And our finance office is especially taxed in submitting those reports. So the Superintendent's Association is looking for some relief in that particular area. Hits finance hardest for us, but it's every department. And sometimes the reports are redundant. They just want it in a different format. So local control things continue in curriculum. We want as much local control as we can preserve. We also want local control in our grading policies. We're a little concerned that when they look at the CCR guidelines, the grading keeps coming up. we do not believe that the state should be telling our teachers or us how we need to grade our students. So those are our primary, I haven't gone over every single one of them, but those are the big things that we would be looking for with our legislative partners.
Board comments, questions? Yeah, I think all the things you outlined certainly are things we've discussed at length as the blueprint continues to be implemented and also continues to be frustrating.
Yes.
I attended the state MABES legislative meeting yesterday, and our priorities pretty much mirror what I think the superintendent's group is coming up with, and what you have just mentioned, Dr. McCartney. Flexibility is a key word here, I think, at the local level, and we're going to be pushing that. Although we haven't really come out with the 4 big priority areas, I think there was a lot of discussion about blueprints at that meeting, the blueprint at that meeting, and we think there's going to be legislative initiatives to try to cut things out of the blueprint this year and scale back, and so I think we have to be thinking about, hey, what can we live with, and what is really something that we don't want scaled back. So I have there's a list of things everybody mentioned, and pretty much what we've been struggling with up here, but. I think from the legislative committee at MABE, it's going to be responding to bills that are trying to take funding away from certain parts of the blueprint. So we'll see how that shakes out.
I agree with you, Mr. Glotfeld. I think it's going to be a very interesting legislative session. And I also don't want to convey to anyone in the public or to the board that the blueprint itself is a bad document. It has done a lot of good things for us in Garrett County. Because of the blueprint, we've been able to offer 3-year-old programs, which are a great benefit. Other counties have more trouble with that because they don't have the space. Luckily for us, or unluckily, depends on how you're looking at it, we do have this space, so we're able to offer those programs. I too think there will be some changes to the blueprint. One that is being talked about a good deal is the career ladder, and slowing down the implementation of level 4. And holding that for a period of time until we get other things firmly in place. I think that would be very beneficial to Garrett County and to my colleagues, superintendent colleagues across the state. The funding portion is difficult. The weighted student formula, weigh your students. Weighted student funding is very complicated and still not completely defined by the state, and so just making our way through that can also create some problems. So we'll stay in touch with PZAM, the Superintendent's Association, with MABE, and other associations, and see what kind of movement we can get to benefit Garrett County.
Well, that's what I keep talking about at the committee, the MABE legislative committee, that we all have to synchronize and with the various interest groups and have one voice when we go to Annapolis. So hopefully we'll get the superintendent's report this week, and we can fold that in somewhat to the MABE's priorities. But what you said is exactly right. It's too much reports from too many agencies down there. It's bogging you down.
We need time to implement. We need time to lead. So.
Okay, anything else, anyone? Okay, our next item under new business is the 2024-25 school calendar modification. This is an action item tonight.
Yes. And if I may,
Sure.
having this in front of me will keep me out of trouble with Karen. Um, so, as everyone is aware, we have had 2 traditional snow days this year. So in making those days up, according to our calendar, the first day that we should consider would be Martin Luther King Day. We cannot do that because that requires state board approval, and they've already met for December, so it's just not possible to get that done in time. So, having missed 2 days, my recommendation is to seek a waiver from the Maryland State Board of Education to allow GCPS to use Monday, February the 17th, 2025, which is President's Day, and Monday, April the 21st, 2025, which is Easter Monday, as makeup days for inclement weather days. This would require state board approval, so we would send a waiver request immediately and would get a response after their January board meeting.
Superintendent has made a recommendation proposal to the board to ask the State Board of Education for a waiver for 2 snow days. The 2 days that she's outlined are Monday, February the 17th, 2025, which is President's Day, and Monday, April 21st, 2025, which is the Monday after Easter. That is her proposal. Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation to use President's Day and Easter Monday to make up for our snow days.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Proposal was made by Jason, seconded by Don. We can now have discussion. Yes.
Superintendent, just remind me, I believe whenever we set the calendar at the beginning of the year, these dates actually were listed as possible days to use as makeup days. Is that correct?
Yes, they are listed on the calendar, and it says that we should use them in numerical order.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
And you might remind everyone that makeup days, how many makeup days must be made before virtual days can be used? Number of snow days, traditional snow days.
We can have one more traditional snow day. If we have one more traditional snow day, we can then begin looking at virtual days.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Okay, a motion is on the floor to ask the superintendent to try to achieve waiver for 2 traditional snow days that we've had. The makeup days will be February 17th, 2025 and April 21st, 2025. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And it is approved. Thank you.
Okay. May I add one more
Sure.
thing? I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes. It has nothing to do with your motion, but it does have to do with the school calendar. This is the last year that we have the 91st day of school moving on the calendar. So since we've missed 2 days, the 91st day will be
I think Mark Green actually sent out a communication to the
Thank
community about when that 91st day would be.
and I thought it was on my paper right here.
Wednesday, January 29th, I'm told by legal counsel.
Thank you. Thank you, legal counsel. I thought I had it on
And
my
obviously,
notes.
that's subjective to future snow days.
That's right. That could move again, but I did want to alert the public to it, even though I can't remember the exact date, because it does change the calendar and a day for students. So we'll be sure to clarify that tomorrow on our website. It's there. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you. We now move on to policies and procedures. JLIE student sunscreen use and sun safety policy and procedure. This is a draft form by Mr. Hummel and Ms. Aiken.
Good evening. Mrs. Aiken and I come tonight to bring you a new policy, JLIE, student sunscreen use and sun safety. And this is developed based on a required law in the annotated code 7-442. So we'll open it up for any questions.
It's a draft. It's our first reading, and certainly we've all gotten it. I guess when I first read it, I never really thought about that, but I guess you do need a policy and a procedure to allow children to put sunscreen on, since they're under our guidance. So it's, but it's very well written from the, I know it's gone before the policy committee already and has their approval. So
Yeah, we looked at this in detail and came up with a lot of suggestions that were incorporated into the policy. But thank you for doing that.
any questions tonight? Okay, we'll save those for next time if there are any. Oh, yes, sir.
Certainly, it's not as big a concern in Garrett County as it is in some of the other counties. But we have to have, we're a county in Maryland, so we have to have a policy.
Okay, the other policy procedure tonight is a revision. It's JLCE, First Aid and Emergency Medical Care Policy and Procedure.
All right, so these are revisions. Mrs. Aiken, myself, the policy committee, these updates were made to reflect current practices of the school system as required by MSDE and the Maryland Department of Health. So we can open it up for any questions that you may have on this one as well.
Any questions on the first read of that?
No, this one also went up before the policy committee, and we went over it pretty thoroughly that day.
Yeah, I see a lot of red ink. Okay, we'll save our questions for the next time. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You're back again for the next meeting, Mr. Hummel?
I'll come just for you.
You're a good man. And congratulations.
Thank you.
You'll do a wonderful job.
Thank you.
And
I
we'll have a
appreciate
key
it.
contact at MSDE.
Yes. And I appreciate all the support and the relationships and the partnerships that we've had in Garrett counties. It's an amazing place to work and very difficult, but looking forward to it.
You made a big difference in a lot of places in Garrett County, from counseling to administration to the central office. You've made a lot of
Just don't forget us when you get down there, okay?
I definitely won't. Thank you all.
Blueprint for Maryland's future update, strategic plan updating by Dr. Miller.
Good evening. So I am extremely excited to bring to you tonight our GCPS strategic plan aligned with the Blueprint for Maryland's future. This has been, for many of you know, a labor of love for well over a year at this point. And we really had a vision of taking the very large 100+ page blueprint implementation plan and really honing in on the most essential components to be able to provide a very accessible strategic plan for our county for the next 3 years. So that's what this document is about. And it really does focus on things that we have talked about before. And you can certainly see the table of contents. It goes over the mission and vision that you all approved a couple board meetings back that have been slightly revised, provides an introduction, but primarily it's focused on 3 cross-cutting priorities that align with the blueprint. And the blueprint, as you know, has 5 pillars. And when you think about these 3 priorities that we selected, there's cross-cutting actions and strategies that have to go into play for each one of these priorities. The first is staffing, the second is high quality instruction, and the third is partnerships. So we tried to outline some of our goals in relationship to those priorities, some of the data that we're looking at, and also some of our action steps and key strategies related to each of those priorities. We also did articulate within the plan how we got here. This, like I said, was a labor of love and is a result of many people coming together to provide feedback, to brainstorm, to come up with solutions. The entire central office leaders, as far as pillar leads are concerned, had a intimate involvement in this, our executive blueprint committee. But then I would also lift up our teachers, our administrators, our parents, our community. It really is a very holistic view of what we're focused on for the next 3 years when it comes to implementing some of the key components of the blueprint. So I'll stop there, but I did want to recognize all of the feedback that we received, and we tried to integrate, as well as the 3 priorities, so that everybody's aware of what we're focused on. I'll be glad to entertain questions.
Yeah, sure. Comments, questions. At least from my perspective, a very impressive document.
Thank you.
I just can't, many counties have blueprint departments. We have a blueprint person who asks other people to do their share. So it is indeed something that all of us, all of you own, and of course we will own as well. The one thing I really like that you all have done is incorporate our strategic overall plan with what the blueprint's going to say you need to have in that strategic plan, so that we don't have 2 documents fighting each other or trying to complement each other or whatever. We have one document that has already said, okay, this is what we want to do. This is what the blueprint tells us we need to do.
Yes.
Which to me is
and that came
a
from
great way of starting.
Yes, and feedback was very integral to making that happen.
Good.
So absolutely, yes.
Other comments, questions?
I'd just like to thank everyone for their work, including those members that are outside the GCPS system that are on this committee, because, I know as I start reading through blueprint stuff, it's not hard to get glazed over in a very short period of time. So thank you for your work. I appreciate that.
Anything else? Thank you very, very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And again, amazing document.
Thank you.
You've done a wonderful job with that. Okay, let's go to our student member and do the student member report, and we'll hold public comment for a couple more minutes. This is supposed to be at 7, but we'll come back to it after board updates and superintendent's updates.
Okay,
James?
thank you. So I'm going to start with student reports. I don't have much to report here. Essentially, the winter sports have begun practicing. I would like to mention all of our theater productions across the county. They've all done a wonderful job. I got to attend a few of those. I would also like to recognize Northern's flag football team, who were titled as state champions. And then additionally, a student from Southern, Isabel Savage, earned 2nd place at the the Maryland Department of the Environment's 2nd place in the Rethink Recycling. And then I also would like to give a shout out to Northern's football team for going to states. On the student council side, GCASC, which is our Association of Student Councils, recently had its 2nd General Assembly just yesterday. It was held at Southern High School, led by our president. Within that GA, we had our presentation given by our MASC Divisional Liaison. Again, that's our Maryland Association of Student Councils. We had a communication workshop led by our president to emphasize the importance of effective communication. We also had a girl and boy state presentation given by our president. And then as for our service project, we made Christmas cards to go to veterans hospitals. And we will be having our winter leadership conference on January the 15th in Prince George's County. For specific school reports, 7th and 8th grade at Southern High School are collecting cans for their canned food drive for a local food pantry. 9th through 12th grade recently hosted the Ram Rumble along with the help of 7th and 8th grade. And we are hosting our holiday light show at Broadford Park. And we are also beginning our Operation Gift Giving. Northern Middle School has been especially busy. They hosted their Turkey Tuesday for giving thanks. All students received Thanksgiving stickers and had the opportunity to donate $1 to support families in need. Additionally, they had their holiday dance party, which all proceeds of that will go to the Cool Schools Dunk. For Northern High School, they were collecting order for a fundraiser, and then they are planning their War of the Classes. And then lastly, for my SMOB initiatives in my agenda, I'm working with Dr. McCartney to go to work with individual principals to go to schools in the coming year. So thank you.
Thank you, Cadence. Questions, comments, anyone for Cadence?
Yeah, thanks for that report. I just want to mention, I got to see the junior production, I guess 7th, 8th, and 9th grade production of Elf, junior Elf, or I forget what it was called, but it was really well done. And the theater department up at that school really needs to be congratulated with the sets and getting everybody on stage and singing. It was a wonderful event. So, you might think 7th, 8th, and 9th, how good could it be? But it was pretty good. Very cute.
Anything else, anyone? Okay, great.
I'll echo that too, Rodney. I was able to go see Elf, and I think the thing that impressed me the most is them changing sets and just the teamwork that went into that. It was just amazing for that age of students to be doing that, and they just do an excellent job. I was pretty impressed. I went last year as well, so I think they do a wonderful job.
But I do want to also piggyback on the comment about Northern's football team. Certainly the accomplishment of getting into a state final after the middle of your season, you're 3-5. I was a football coach for 19 years. Usually when you're 3-5, you end up 3 in something else, and you don't go to the state championship game. So congratulations, Coach Carr, his coaches, his players, families, everyone who had a role in that, because that is an amazing turnaround, an amazing finish, and certainly something they're going to be proud of for the rest of their lives. So congratulations. Okay, let's, any board member updates? Anything anybody wants to mention? Jason?
Yeah, this Thursday, we will be hosting at my place of employment, the Future Business Leaders of America. We'll be bringing about 40 students in and doing different sections for them as far as employment, fraud cases, credit, that type of thing. So they'll be coming to visit us. And then we work with Mr. Hummel for setting up the Real Deal for both Northern and Southern again. So we are planning those and getting those scheduled as well.
Great. I know the Garrett County Public Schools Foundation has been taking applications for mini grants from teachers. As we were discussing earlier, the years that I've spent on that committee, this is my 8th year on that committee, it used to be we would get maybe one application for $250, and sometimes we would have to beg to get one from a teacher. Now I think this year they got 16 applications for $250 grants. And it's my belief that I think they're going to be able to perhaps fund all of them. And so I applaud the teachers out there who are asking for the money for their classrooms to do special things. And remember to certainly do that every year and get money for your classrooms. Okay, superintendent updates.
Thank you. Just a reminder to our public that there are many Christmas holiday programs at our schools this time of year and during the coming weeks, and we hope that many members of our community are able to attend those events. And I would ask you to please check with schools, look at their Facebook pages or their websites regarding individual school schedules. Also, reminder to parents that progress reports for the second grading period are scheduled to be released on Monday, December the 16th. Another reminder that Friday, December 20th is a 3-hour early dismissal, and then schools will be reopening after our holiday season on January the 2nd. I'm going to try to recover on my calendar because I found my note to self that this is a reminder to parents who don't necessarily go to our website that to accommodate the 2 inclement weather closures, the scheduled professional day will move from Monday, January the 27th to Wednesday, January the 29th. And on that day, students will have a 3-hour early dismissal. That date is still open to change should we have additional snow days. Other than, let's all have a wonderful Christmas. That's my last remark, hopefully. Yes. Yes, I will announce that. In our executive session tonight, we also made a decision, the Accident Advisory Committee, the Accident Northern Area Superintendent's Committee has been working diligently and did a fine presentation to the public. They will be meeting, I believe the date of your next meeting is January the 7th, to finalize that report. The board made a decision tonight that we will hold the hearing on that report at our January 14th board meeting. We are scheduling 6:00 p.m. for a presentation of the report, followed by comments from the public on that topic only. 6:00 p.m., January the 14th.
That will be at Northern Middle.
Oh, and yes, it will be at Northern Middle.
Okay, thank you. We will now do public comment. We have two individuals. The first one is Stephanie Boyd, who wants to talk about the accident relocation and closure. Yes, I need to read the legal document first, Stephanie. Let me get to that. Where's my public comment guide? There it is. Garrett County Board of Education is pleased to receive comments and ideas from our public pertaining to the policies, procedures, and/or practices of the school system. We ask that comments be limited to a maximum time of 3 minutes per individual unless otherwise considered by the board president. There will be no discussion or action taken at the meeting, but may be considered at a future meeting. Issues that are specific to individual employees should be referred to the immediate supervisor for appropriate consideration and review. Rude, slanderous, or threatening remarks or other behavior that is disruptive or interferes with the order of the meeting will not be permitted. Topics excluded from the public comment are individual personnel issues, comments identifying an individual student or staff member, matters that are on appeal or may be appealed or have been appealed, topics for which the board schedules formal public hearings, and advertising or solicitation for products and/or services. That being said, Stephanie, please proceed.
Thank you for having us tonight. I'm just speaking based off of doing some research regarding the accident relocation closure, depending on what we're going to call that. I have been active on the advisory committee, so it's kind of forced me to go out and find some information of my own that I would like to share with the board tonight. So I did find a research study that actually was published early this year. And this researcher, last name of Kim, studied 470 schools that closed from 1998 to 2015. So he was able to follow this data set for a large amount of time. Based off his research, he was found that by the age of 26, the students who experienced school closures from K through 12 were 4.8% less likely to have attended college, 4.7% less likely to have completed college, and 1.3% less likely to be employed than the peers in schools with similar demographics and in similarly sized schools who did not experience a school closure. It also impacted their annual earnings for those students from ages 25 to 27. They were 3.4% lower than their peers. Among those long-term retributions, he also documented that there were some immediate disruptions to learning, and he found a statistically significant drop in math and reading scores among students who went through a school closure. They were also absent 1.8% more school days in the 3 years following the closure than in the 3 previous years. Knowing that accident was just granted the 5-star rating, and a lot of those data points are what feeds into that, I'm just kind of curious why we are willing to sacrifice or potentially sacrifice some of those things for our students that may not only impact them in the short term, but as far as this researcher has found, up to the age of 26 as well. So I just kind of encourage you as board members to go out, do some more research, as you mentioned, data. Jason drives you to the data, so please look to the data to help us make these hard choices, because I don't want our kids to be experiments or placed in jeopardy just because we feel like that might be the best choice at the time. So I'm just really challenging you as individuals to go out and do your own research, form your own opinions, ask the community, find the parents, both on the northern and southern end, because we don't have any data yet on the southern end, and the changes that we have made, we can't use them as either a pro or a con. Right now, it's kind of a neutral argument. We can't use it either way. So I'm just kind of curious if it's possible to slow down, actually look at the data to make an evidence-based decision.
Thank you, Stephanie. Jess Brown, also the accident relocation.
So last month, Dr. McCartney opened a public community meeting for reviewing and learning more about the proposal for Accident Elementary relocation and moving 8th graders to Northern High School. So in response to that, as also a member on the advisory committee and Accident Elementary's PTO president, we felt a duty to really reach out to our community members. And so we created an open-end survey through Google Forms, Google Docs, and basically just said, what are your thoughts? What are your questions? What are your concerns? So in this fabulous 12-page document that I just gave you front and back, I wanted to share and give you guys the opportunity to read and hear from the community directly. We did have 157 responses. So I think that for a very short time that this survey was open to the public, that was a pretty amazing feedback response, because as I'm sure you guys all know, getting responses on surveys are difficult from things like that. As well, on a separate document, after we did the presentation yesterday, our draft presentation, we received a very nice put together letter from a parent. I included that, as well as she also requested that I share that information with the board members. If you would like, I can also email this document to you, but I wanted to give you a paper copy as well. So also, just going on the fact about the star ratings, I do want to congratulate all of our schools. I do think that Garrett County Public Schools is an excellent system. Our students and our staff members really do work well, and to have all of our schools be 3-star and above is truly amazing. And then getting down to it, that we have 2 5-star elementary schools. There's only 7% of the schools in the state of Maryland that reach 5-star status. So that is truly amazing. And looking at our Northern and high school and middle school, Northern was also rated in the 90th percentile. So they were just shy really of reaching that 5-star status this year. And Northern Middle School was in the 80 something percentile. So really ranking high there. So kind of looking at that system, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Try to. So I know trying to make sure that we are doing things on the other schools to try and maybe mirror the schools that are excelling at the 5-star and higher 4-star ratings, versus trying to change those just to looking at the financial aspects. We know the budget is tight. I'm glad to hear that we are looking at the student weighted funding for the schools 300 and less to hopefully get a little bit more flexibility with that budget. And if that is passed, if maybe that will allow a little bit more leeway of keeping all of our small elementary schools open. So thank you so much, and that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Jess, and thank you both for all the work that you're putting into bringing to the board's attention the ideas and concerns of that particular school's community. With that being said, I'll take a motion to adjourn. I bet I know
Sorry,
who's
I'd
going
like
to
to
make
make a
it.
few comments, Tom, before
Oh,
we
okay. All
adjourn.
right. Go ahead first.
One, I'd like to thank everyone for the kind words. Also, it's been a complete privilege to serve my community as a member of the school board. I really appreciate it when folks would reach out, share their opinions, share their thoughts. So please continue to do that with your board. Regardless of what your opinion is, we do have a great school system here in Garrett County. And I believe absolutely every member of this board, past member of this board that I had the pleasure of working with, have the interest of our school system in mind, right? The superintendent always joke around, we don't always agree, but it doesn't mean we both don't. What we think is the best interest of the school system in our mind. So please continue to reach out to your members, let them know how you feel. Again, we have great staff as far as our teachers in the buildings, our principals, people that I've seen really truly care about our students, and I think that's what makes our school system so great. So thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure to serve you all, and with that I will make a motion that we adjourn.
Motion's been made to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Sadie. All those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.